Hey everybody, Beastman here again with a really quick tutorial on AI. So this is the Raft of Doom. It has a tiny engine, it has a tiny propeller, it has some rudders, just to prove it works. There we go, we're going forward at blistering speed and we can turn it in both directions and slow it down. Okay, so what do we need to get the AI to control this instead of me? So need mainframe, AI mainframe. This is the core of your AI. You can have up to 4 of these on your boat for redundancy. And then you need an AI card slot. Then you'll need to choose what kind of card you want to use. This will probably change soon, but as I've said before, I'll just do it because no idea when that patch is going to drop. So we're in the sea, so we'll use a naval card. Sailing's only for if you're using sails. Might cover that at some point, but so yeah, we've got a naval card. Basic settings. Basically, when this is the angle it will take when it wants to broadside, it will try to enter that angle. When it reaches that, it will keep in broadside until it reaches this range, at which point it will leave broadside and try to get back out to this range. Usually on your battleships and things this will be a much larger value, but for now we'll just leave it like that. Ideal approaches for friendly ships, for kind of keeping them in formation. Not massively important unless your ship's big. Turn circle gain, if your ship's big it'll have a much bigger turn circle. Maximum's 300 meters. You can choose to disable reverse, so the propeller won't try to make it go backwards. And that is the requirement underneath the boat of how much land you'd at. I mean, I'm not sure if this even works properly, but it will try its best to keep to sea where there's at least 10 meters underneath. Sort of describes it underneath, but that is basically what that means. I'll just leave it as is just now. So we've got an AI there, we've got an engine, so we've got power, we've got fuel there for the engine, got means to go forward, so let's give it a shot. And notice there I put that in fleet mode for moving, otherwise combat it will just try to do its own thing. And off it goes. We've gave it a move order. The AI will now try-ish to get to that point using what it's got there. So that's a very basic raft with an AI card. If you want to if you want to use detection and things, you're going to need connectors for your general purpose cards. Each detection component uses AI power. We'll notice there, if you read that, the connected mainframe has access to 3 units of general purpose processing power to process the detection of its 0 detectors. The detectors and trackers need 0 power in total. This means the detection systems are running at 100% the maximum detection rate. So basically, the more detection things I add, the more power it needs, the more of these you need. Same with the new missile stuff. If you're going to use whatever it is, I forgot the name. If you're using the guidance, I can't remember what it is. But we're going to cover missiles in a different one. So yeah, so that's that. If you want to beam this around, if you've got wireless transmitter, so each transmitter can go on up to 4 channels. So if you press Q on this, you'll notice it's changing. That's it off, that's it on. So that's it on channel 1 at the moment. So if I've got a turret at the front here, love it. So there we go, that is a super simple setup for a turret. So there's a local weapons controller here, and now you need these within 2 blocks of a turret for it to control it. Failsafe will stop it from hitting itself or friendlies. And this, a wireless receiver, which is under this bit here, the wireless receiver will hook up to, again, I can change what channel this is operating on. So on channel 1 it will receive the commands from the mainframe on channel 1, which is this one, and it will try to aim. So that's that. So I mean, really basic, just to show this working. There's a radar dome. We'll notice that now the detectors need 1.5 power, but there is 4 power units available with what we've got, so that's fine. That can see. So if you're not wanting to spawn out with the menu, you can put an enemy simulator on your AI. So this is now classed as an enemy to our raft, and our little turret here will try and shoot it. Oh, if it had ammo, it needs ammo. There we go. So our raft will now make war with the other raft. So this AI here is transmitting to this receiver here, which has a local weapons controller, which is controlling this turret. And it is now fighting the other raft. So it's as simple as that, really. Nothing too complex. Just to talk about some of the other cards. Propulsion balancing, just don't use it. It's rubbish. Absolutely terrible. Water start is for planes that have balloons. This will, if you set the settings on it, you set a point at which you want the balloons to deploy, and then it will lift your plane out of the water. Again, not always used. Something like Deepwater Guard use it on some of their planes. These ones are more important. Target prioritization. These all need to be placed on card slots, by the way. You can't just tag them onto your connectors. So target prioritization, you can set specific conditions for your guns to fire. So if there's a large ship and you don't want it shooting at small ships, you would set the value per block to be higher, so that it will only fire at large ships and not be distracted by small ones. If you only want it to fire at a certain altitude, because it's an AA gun, you'll set that higher. So things like that. Again, you can, to do with that, the local weapons controller itself, you can set range limits. Some guns can't go, like simple weapons have like a max range of about 500, so you might set it up at 600 maximum range. Things like torpedoes you might not want to fire when there's so close, same with missiles, so you might set a minimum range. And the priority is, if you've got more than one weapon controller, you can set the priority each one to say which one is more important than the other. The aim point selection, it kind of tells you what to aim for. So if you have one of these, generally if you've got like a particle cannon or a laser or something, you might want it to only kind of go for the AI or the ammo storage, to go for the quick kill. But if you're wanting to aim for disabling turreted things, or you're wanting a more sort of realistic battle, then set it to target a random block, and then you can change how long it is until it targets another block on the enemy thing that it's aiming at. And then that will just basically shoot at whatever's been selected. So you might want to set this lower so that it shoots around the boat. Depends again what you're firing at. Might work out better, might not. But these can be quite important for setting specific roles. The aerial card for planes and the AI for tanks, I'll cover them in a second. Fortress AI, bit rarer. You might see at the beginning of the game you start in a fortress. Fortress is kind of like a flying base thing. Higher you go, way more power it consumes. It only can travel at a very, very slow speed in the map, so not a lot of people use them. Tend to stick to vehicles. But again, this is your fortress AI controls the movement of a fortress. So what happens if get rid of the Raft of Doom, and we'll make a Plane of Doom. Yeah, so that's a basic plane. We'll give it a mainframe. And I'll give it a aerial AI card. So I think I covered this last time a little bit. So this is the setting for when it will try to yaw to turn. This is for when it will try to roll, and use the ailerons to roll, and then use up force to try and turn. And this is the most extreme angle it will do in a roll. So if you're having your problems with your plane banking into the sea all the time, sometimes setting this lower helps, though generally that's just because you don't have enough up force to control it. I'll set this a little bit higher. Cruising altitude is what it will fly at. Minimal is what it will do when it's like diamond attack or whatever. Attack begins attack run, so it will fly away to this point, and then it will start its attack. It will abort its attack run when it's that close to the target. If you're doing a fighter, you then want to keep this new attack run thing pretty low so that it's continually trying to get behind or near the target. If it's a bomber, you may want to set this much larger so that it's got a long time to be able to do its attack run. This use velocity vector thing is a new option. Tends to kind of work a bit better for bombers. It uses all directions to calculate the velocity it's moving at. It does kind of make it slide a little bit. And if you've got that off, then it only uses the forward vector as its method for calculating where it's going. So I'm just going to leave it as normal at the moment, and let's just see if this flies. Maybe not enough force there to keep it going, so nah, the jet's using up too much power. So I'm gonna need to. So injector, I'm not going to cover fuel engines, but there we go. Injectors are really inefficient. But they do provide a lot of power. So there we go. Our plane is flying around with the AI settings that we gave it. Works fine. Could put a little missile in. Local weapon controller again, just like what we did before. Needs a wireless receiver, and this will need a transmitter, and it will need some way to detect what it's firing at. So again, just put a detection thing on here. So as we can see, the transmitter is beaming signal to there where the receiver is, and to here where the local weapon controller is. Oh, we've went into space. Cool. Not enough weight at the front. So as you can see, even me gets up there incredibly quick, and with a really simple AI can be quite effective. Just taking simple deep water guard stuff out. I mean, it doesn't get much more simple. There we go. Whoosh. Okay, so we've done planes and boats, so let's take a look at land vehicles. So let's get a quick tank up. Okay. Here's a super tiny little tank that I made for a tournament. So, again, where are we? Okay, so this is the AI in this tank. As you can see, we've got wheels, mainframe, and the mainframe has a transmitter connected to a connector block. Not really sure why. Don't know why I've done that. And land movement AI is what you're wanting. This one here. And AI goes in the card slot as before. So again, same as kind of like naval AI. Enter broadside below this range. So if we set to 1000, if it went under 1000, it would go as far as the minimum range, which say 500. So 500 meters, where it will go at 75 degrees. If you want it to sit face on, you would set this to 0 or something like 5, and then once it reaches that, it tries to get back to the leaving range, at which point it would then try to go back to the broadside range, and so on. Idle approach again for when it's near friendlies, turn in circle, letting it know how far it's got to turn. Not as much of a problem if your wheels are in like tank mode, which I'll show you in a sec. Depth permitted is how deep the water it's allowed into, so obviously probably if it's a tank you don't want it to go too far into the water. If it's like amphibious you might want it to go right into the water. Cease movement range, now this is unique to land AI. This is to stop the vehicle from moving, so if it goes, if an enemy gets within this range, then it will stop entirely and will just sit and shoot. Now it's good for things like artillery, you know, if you're wanting them sitting further back and firing in, or if fast enemy gets near, it will cease moving. And again, you can disable the reverse so that it only goes forward, but I think with tank you probably do want it to reverse, but again it just depends what you're building. As I was on about before with tank mode, if you know, this is a new thing, if you press Q on your wheels, and down the bottom left here you've got a thing for tank mode, so you can put that on and then go into your wheel configuration, copy that to all your wheels, at which point when it turns it will try to turn more like a tank. So instead of like turning like a car, it will try to turn on the spot sort of thing. Maybe if I remove these jets it'll show a bit better. If that's turned around, it will try and turn on the spot rather than doing a huge big looping turn, which is basically what it does. The wheel configuration lets you set the suspension now. I made this before that, so it's a little bit janky. I think it's probably too heavy at the front. So there it's sort of smooshing itself into the ground, probably taking damage, but you can set this so that it would be less bouncy and more rigid. You have to kind of just play with it. Yep, so there we go. That's boats, planes and land AI. I'll cover detection in another one because it kind of requires its own video, I think. But there we go. Hope that was helpful. Again, got any comments, let me know. Any suggestions, etc. Let me know, or if you want something specifically covered or even looked at, I could do troubleshooting. It's up to you. Thanks, bye.